What did you want to see? Did you want to see me relish and fantasize about violence? Violence that I'll never visit on anyone like Matt Walsh? Matt Walsh puts out a tweet today and says, we want to put people's heads on pikes. You fucking faggot. You will do nothing, you fucking pussy. Don't fucking say that, because you will do nothing, you fucking loser.
It's the black guy in the corner, but they'd rather see a on the corner. They say I'm stealing Nick's clips like I'm stealing Nick's chick, not knowing that I hit him first week for the lick. I said, Nick, I could post here while you post there. Let's run the ads up, then let's meet up over there.
Oh, the vaccine is a biological weapon?
Treason Trump
That's weird, because it's not killing anybody.
How long do you think Shapiro rubbed his hands for when he saw the clip of you telling your audience to forgive the Jews? You would tell Ryan's father to have mercy to what extent exactly? You are going to sit here and tell me that enforcing the laws would have stopped Carmelo Anthony? BS. What happened to you?
I've been saying the same thing. What is the solution? Are you a Christian, by the way? I'm just curious. If you're not a Christian, then you're not worth even listening to. But on the off chance that you are a Christian, that's the basis of our religion. And that's actually what makes us good. If you're telling me that the reason we have a problem with the Israelis and what they're doing in Gaza, and the black people, what they're doing on the subways and on the football fields, how are we any better if we visit cruelty and revenge upon innocent people from their group? How are we any better? I don't believe in that. I don't believe in vengeance. I believe in justice. And I do believe in forgiveness. Don't mistake what I mean by forgiveness. It's very low IQ. Oh, you turn the other cheek when they're killing us? No, you don't let them kill you. But when you're in a position of power, you dispense with justice in a way that is merciful and charitable. It doesn't, I mean, this guy would get the death penalty. In my country, this person's killer would get the death penalty. Carmelo Anthony would get the death penalty. But at the same time, you look at every individual in the country as somebody that's deserving of dignity and respect. It's not, I don't know what you're proposing here. And on some level, yes, we are called to, I know it's difficult, but on a spiritual level, yes, we are called to pray for everybody. Yes, the killers. Yes, our enemies. And I know that may be hard to understand if you think that this is all there ever is and all that ever will be and all that ever was, but it isn't. We are all sinners. We have all offended God. We're all going to face a judgment. These killers will face a judgment, like we all will, like we will all die. We will all pass. The world will pass someday. And people say, you would forgive that person? Well, do you expect God to forgive you? And people say, but I'm not a killer. Well, you put Christ on the cross every time you sin. Every sin must be accounted for. Every profane word, every sacrilege, every disordered inclination, tendency, all those things you think are so innocent, the victimless crimes, the harmless things, the things you do when no one's watching, you have to pay for that. Who do you think pays for that? Christ paid for it with his blood. The murderer on the subway, equally any one of us. The thief on the cross, anyone. That's our religion. If you're not a Christian, say that. But don't come in and, oh, we're supposed to forgive him. Spiritually, yes. I don't think the government should forgive him. The government must punish him. That is the government's prerogative. The government must punish him. The government must uphold justice. We want righteously guided leaders. We want Christian leaders. But this kind of emotional stuff, when people say, well, would you forgive? Do you think Shapiro was rubbing his hands? How? And by the way, when you say that, what is that supposed to elicit? We're supposed to feel humiliated. We think of Ben Shapiro. You create this visualization. When you say forgive the Jews, Ben Shapiro's rubbing his hands. What am I supposed to feel? I'm supposed to feel like he's getting one over on me. I'm supposed to feel prideful about that. I'm supposed to feel what? Humiliated. So that's supposed to what? Make me angry? And I'm supposed to be vindictive. I should want him to be unhappy. So I should lash out emotionally. He's insulted my pride. Is that a principle you think we should follow? I'm sure the Jews were rubbing their hands together when they nailed Christ to the cross. They weren't laughing. When there was 2,000 years of Christian domination of the world and they were persecuted, they weren't laughing then. So, yeah, I'm sorry. I just don't believe in that mindset. This, you know, and I hate the fucking rage bait. Oh, well, they're laughing at you. You don't hate them enough. I don't believe in emotions. I think that we should, emotions can help us in some ways, but when we're trying to discern the truth, when we're trying to to discern how to correct our society, emotion doesn't help us. We have to be rational. And that doesn't mean that we should not weigh good and evil. Of course we weigh good and evil, but I think we do that in a way that is not selfish. It shouldn't be an outward expression of sentiment. It should be an expression of righteousness. So I don't like all that. Oh, well, they're rubbing their hands together. Oh, well, would you tell the killer's father to have mercy? The killer's father is right to be devastated. The killer's father, you know, should never exonerate the killer. And on some level should not be expected to give forgiveness, especially if the killer is not seeking it. But on a spiritual level, the message of Christianity is unmistakable. We must be radically forgiving. And that doesn't mean we let people kill us. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean we exonerate people of their actions and say the slate is wiped clean. It doesn't mean that we let them live in our neighborhood. But on a spiritual level, it means that we recognize that we're all sinners. There's a spiritual recognition. It's about humility. So, you know, maybe you're not high IQ enough to understand that you're filled. And I get it. People are filled with emotion. They don't want to hear that message right now. But what do you want to hear, you fucking loser? What do you want to hear? I gave a pretty intense monologue yesterday. I think it was extremely blunt, and I think fair, and I think righteous. What did you want to see? Did you want to see me jump up on the table like a monkey and hoot and holler? What did you want to see? Did you want to see me relish and fantasize about violence? Violence that I'll never visit on anyone like Matt Walsh. Matt Walsh puts out a tweet today and says, "We want to put people's heads on pikes." You fucking you will do nothing, you fucking pussy. Don't fucking say that, because you will do nothing, you fucking loser. Do you want to see me fantasize about, impotently fantasize about violence that I can never enact, that I'm not willing or able to enact? Oh, we should put their heads on pikes, and then we should do this, and then we should do that. When we all know you won't do fucking shit because you are holding on to your life, because you don't want to lose your fucking job, because you don't want to pay for it. So let me get this straight. You're furious. You're up in arms. We shouldn't forgive anybody. We need it. Oh, but you're not going to do anything about it. No. You've got a life. You've got stuff going on. Oh, so what? Do you just not feel strongly enough about it? So should we all just be in a race war now? And what's the solution? Kill other innocent people that didn't do anything wrong, maybe? And you got nothing to do with it either? What do you expect to see? So, you know, people like this, you can go and fuck yourself. There is plenty, if you want this slop, there's plenty of people that'll give it to you. You want to see somebody validate and give you this catharsis. You can live vicariously through a angry white man that's had enough going off, and give flight to these impotent fantasies of retribution and violence. You can get that anywhere. You can get that anywhere else. And the insinuation that, you know, we're okay with this stuff, I hate all of it. I hate the bloodshed in Gaza. I hate the bloodshed in Minneapolis. Is that where that school, I think that's where the school shooting, you forget already, the school shooting last week. I hate the bloodshed on that train in Charlotte. I hate it in Ukraine. I want the violence to stop. The idea that if you're not angry enough, that you're not against it. What do you want to see? Do you want to see me foaming at the mouth? Do you want to see veins bulging? Why? Is that impressive? Is that difficult to do? People do it all the time. Losers do that all the time. Women do that. Children do that. You want a temper tantrum? You know, I will give you righteous indignation. I will give you self-righteousness, tempered by prudence. I will not give you your emotional payoff. I will not give you the rage porn where everybody's going to get whipped up and everyone's going to say, yeah, you know, and what? And then carry out violence. And this is what I fear. I said this last night. The next thing that's going to happen is someone from the right-wing side is going to go and kill somebody. And I don't want that on my hands. I don't want to be responsible for that. I hope that person looks at me and says, oh, you forgive them. How dare you? Because I don't want nothing to do with any of that. You want that blood on your hands? It's not a game. So I do believe the solution is a political one. It is law enforcement. You can't stop crimes before they take place. You should let people live with the people they want to live with. And if that means away from black people, then they should have the lawful right to do so. That would solve it. Self-segregation, prosecuting criminals, that would get rid of a great deal of it. Some other kind of government intervention, absolutely. But what you seem to be prescribing is malevolence, anger, revenge. And that actually is not generative. I don't actually believe in that. I don't think that's good. So, situation is what it is. We have all kinds of situations all the time. This is a particularly acute problem, and it should be dealt with by the political authorities. But I would say vigilantes on some level, and by that I mean people like the Guardian Angels in New York City, the Curtis Lewa, whatever his group is called, but that's basically eliminated. I would say people should get together and form militias. In another time, that's what you would do, but that's illegal. So we're constrained by the situation, but anyway. That annoys me to no end. I mean, and you know what? You think anybody's impressed? You think anybody's impressed? We all hate to see it. Do you think anybody likes to see a sociopath murder an innocent person in cold blood? We all hate it. It makes everybody's upset. Everybody's angry. Everybody wants to see change. The idea that you're impressing anybody by being the most angry, you're saying the most extreme thing, say these violent fantasies, do you think that impresses anybody? Do you think that's challenging? We're all thinking that on some level. Do you think anybody would not love to see this guy hang in public? Of course we would. But we also want to put our society back together, and that requires some semblance of maturity and foresight and prudence and patience. And on a spiritual level, when we think about the world, we think about our lives, the afterlife, it can't be governed by these kinds of things. Yeah, I mean, look, the world is filled with iniquity. You think that was unfair? It's the beginning of unfairness. And so much of the unfairness, we have no one to take it out on. Who are we going to pursue revenge against when there's penury and pestilence and poverty and corruption and, you know, all these horrible things that happen in the world all the time? Who are we going to get angry about for that? A lot of people die for no reason. It's completely unfair. Who are we going to pursue revenge against there? That's just the state of the world. The world's a fallen place. So, I mean, if you don't have the spiritual maturity to talk about it in that way, then, I mean, you just need to grow up. I don't know how old you are, but you sound like a child. So, anyway.
All right, we're back. Let me share some of my thoughts with y'all, give a little feedback. My apologies. The energy, I can't front. My energy is a little bit low. I'm recording this the day after Charlie Kirk, was assassinated. I didn't speak on it yesterday. Honestly, not even going to speak on it much now. Just kind of just thinking about everything, and that was, that was like a very gut wrenching, very scary. And even very quickly, even seeing a lot of the reactions to it, it actually connects with what Nick was saying. Now, Nick was saying this is episode 1563. So I believe this was from Tuesday's show. It's Thursday today. And then everything that he's saying in this clip about vengeance, like it just hits so close to home as far as what would end up happening the next day, and then seeing everybody's reaction to it. People are sick, man. People are sick, and I think there's a lot of cowardly responses, and I mean cowardly from a sense where if you've never spoke on certain things that you knew could potentially cause you harm, could get a lot of people upset, go against the grain. Nobody in your family, friends is going to agree with you. Even from a simple standpoint is that when you speak on certain things that you know have caused other people issues, serious issues, you have a respect for people, or you you have a respect for people that just speak their truth and stand on it. And you may not agree. It has nothing to do with agreeing. What I'm talking about has nothing to do with respecting what they're saying. I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying when you believe that somebody's speaking on what they truly believe and they are speaking on it to a point where it could cause them some issues and they get a lot of backlash, there's a certain level of understanding there that when a situation like this happens, you just like it crushes you in some ways, in a lot of ways. And yeah, yeah. But I'll speak on it maybe more over the next couple of days. I really don't like, even with people jumping out there and just, I mean, people deal with things differently. So I'll just leave it at that. People deal with things differently. Yeah, like I said, there's a lot of what Nick was talking about, I think is very key to how we can potentially move forward as a society. So I want to start off with what the entire theme of this response to a question was, which is about vengeance. Vengeance and justice. This is what I was hearing when Nick was talking. And he was saying that he doesn't believe in vengeance, he believes in justice. And I've spoke about it for the last couple of weeks. I think it came up a couple times. And over the last couple of weeks, I think this has come up a couple times where I was saying that even in the Bible, for all the, Bible folk, when you look at what God says about vengeance, and I'm going to read to you from Romans 12:19 of the New Testament. And this is what it said. Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath, for it is written, vengeance is mine. I will repay, saith the Lord. This is Paul quoting from the Old Testament. The source of that phrase is in Deuteronomy 32:35. To me belongeth vengeance and recompense. My apologies. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong. Recompense. And what I take away from this is God has the right to take vengeance, not us. And when we look at politics across the board with a lot of our favorite politicians, the political groups, the parties, what do they play into? They play into vengeance. It's to soothe our frustrations, to get us engaged emotionally by saying, no, we need our get back. And we approach it from a very juvenile stage, a very feminized, and I don't mean feminized to say women don't know how to bring about justice the right way. I'm not saying that. I'm talking about men not being men and this emasculation and over emotional leadership that we've had from men causing us to think this way, right? We're not the same as men and women. It just is what it is. So when we have men that are leaning into the emasculation or more emotional roles, this type of stuff is tolerated. And when I say this type of stuff is tolerated, I mean appeasing people's emotions and trying to make them feel good rather than politicians actually having to work to put policies in place that are going to make things better. Everything is about soothing your emotions. Everything is about what he referenced when it came to Matt Walsh. Matt Walsh talking about we should be putting their heads on spikes. Like, stop it, knock it off. Why are you trying to rile somebody up to do something that you would never be willing to do yourself? that you would never be willing to do yourself. And that reminded me of Tucker Carlson being on stage with Mark Cuban. Give me a second. This is going to go. It all connects. Trust me. But being on stage and Mark Cuban being asked if right? That capital we, America, should be donating or providing aid to Ukraine. And maybe I'll include that video right here.
What's your take on whether we should be sending money to Ukraine or not? Were you in favor of that?
Man, they need it.
I mean, honestly,
I
don't have a good answer. You know, I can make an argument both ways, and half my family is Ukrainian from my grandparents. And so, you know, personally, I think we should help, but I don't have a studied answer for you.
How much money have you sent to Ukraine?
None.
Oh, so what do you mean by we? You're the one whose family's from Ukraine. Like, why don't you send them $1 billion?
Because I'm trying to fix healthcare.
Why don't you fix their healthcare if you're like so deep? If you think we need to help, why don't you start? How about you first? Yeah. I notice that's never like even an option for anybody. It's like, we need to help. That's not what charity is. Forcing other people to help is not charity.
Here's the
it's
good
vanity.
News. The good news is all the weapons were on loan lease. We're getting it back. And our dear president, Trump, has negotiated that we own half the minerals. So he turned this horrible tragedy of a war into a profit center, which is one of his unique gifts. I think we can all agree.
It's very interesting how people will push for other people to do certain things that they will never even consider doing. They may have more capability to do the things that they're pushing other people to do. Other vulnerable people, unstable people, people that are frustrated, that are looking for things. It's like somebody addicted to drugs and you're persuading them, like you're dangling a carrot in front of their face of drugs. You get what I'm saying? It's low-hanging fruit. It's not about solution-based politics. It's not about having an approach that can help heal people. It's how can I take advantage of this chaos and use it in my favor to get more people to follow me, to get more people to like me, to get more people to blindly follow me without even considering what I'm telling them to do from a logical standpoint. I am glad that Nick is calling this stuff out. And perhaps Nick is realizing that a lot of the things that he said in the past, he has to take responsibility for it, because if we're leaders, right? If we're leaders and we're telling certain people things, now we may 100% believe those things. However, we also may have our experience. We may be in different places in life to where we can process the things that we're saying differently than somebody else may process those things. Somebody else may hear what somebody's saying as far as get back, or something that Matt Walsh has said, or something that Nick Fuentes has said, and they may be ready to go crash out. And what did Nick say? He doesn't want that on his hands. He could easily be sitting here saying, you know what, we need to do this, we need to do that. And perhaps based on his rhetoric and his performative nature and how he talks about certain things, even on this show, or I think this was the show that was focusing on the train situation. Even in this show, when he calls out black violence and calls out these type of things, he may feel that he's inviting a certain crowd of people. But now when he gets that crowd's ear, because he's willing to say certain things that other people may not want to say in a way that other people may not want to say, have you crash out to do certain things that you would never do? That's like that whole gang mentality, that whole big homie mentality, that's why we can't stand politicians. When they want to start these wars and act as if people dying are just pawns, it happens because you're not actually in the field. You don't have the skin in the game. Matt Walsh, when he's telling people or getting people excited and riled up to go crash out, he doesn't have any skin in the game when it comes to that. Why doesn't he go do it? He's got job security, right? He's pretty wealthy, right? He's more well off than the majority of us in America, right? So why doesn't he go do it? Why don't you go practice what you preach? Instead of telling people to follow your words, why don't you tell them to follow your actions? Why don't you show them? What does Nick always say? Don't listen to what I'm saying. Watch me work. And then a year from now, evaluate it based on what I did, not what I said. And we need to do a better job when it comes to holding ourselves accountable to how we take in information. It's like, are you going to take advice from a homeless guy on the street about how you can work to get a home and or whatever it may be. Now, not to say that everybody home, y'all get the point. Are you going to take advice from somebody that hasn't proven that they can actually execute in that area that they're giving you advice on? Are you going to take diet advice from somebody who's morbidly obese? Now, they may have some information based on them going through the situation that may be legit information, but I can't really value it because you're not actually implementing it yourself. So you can't call me out and hold me accountable to something that you're not doing yourself. That's the whole thing with Matt Walsh. You go do something. You go, if you really feel that way, then go do it. And the fact that you're not willing to do it shows that you don't feel that way. So you're just trying to do one of two things or maybe more. But the two things that I think about, you're either trying to get somebody else to do something that you want done, but you don't have the courage to do, or you're just trying to gain a bigger following, feed your audience, get views, get clicks. Maybe it's a combination of both, but it's very corny. It's very corny. Matt Walsh and what he does, they're temper tantrums. All it is a temper tantrum. This is what happens when, I keep going back to it, when boys don't develop into men. And what's the number one reason why a boy wouldn't develop into a man? Well, how about the lack of proper male leadership? This is what I meant when boys are raised by emotional energy, more feminine energy, to where they don't understand how to move like a man. We're the yin and the yang, men and women. If we're both moving the same, then we're probably not going to be as successful as we would if we're moving as the yin and the yang and being the perfect complements to each other. We got men out here buying into throwing temper tantrums. Grown adults that are getting riled up to commit temper tantrums. And what it comes down to, all of this for me is, y'all know how I feel. I don't like war. I don't like the violence. There's no justified violence. Like let me rephrase that. I guess that's for everybody to decide what's justified. Let me rephrase it. Violence is not going to solve anything. Let me rephrase it again. Violence will never move humanity forward. I'll leave it there. Violence will never move humanity forward. It will only keep us stuck where we are or move us backwards. I'm with him when he said he hates all of this violence, whether it's North Carolina, whether it's the school in Minnesota, whether it's Gaza, whether it's Ukraine, whether it's whatever's happening around the world that isn't shown or highlighted in mainstream news outlets. Doesn't matter. It's not moving us forward. And I'll just leave y'all with that. So appreciate y'all as always for tapping in, showing love, and we're gonna keep elevating. Y'all know what we come here to do. For a lot of us that don't know what OG is all about, it's about elevating on purpose, that big P, that big purpose, you know, what we're here to do, that impact that we're going to have on the world. So let's make it a positive one. I'll see y'all soon. It's the black guy in the corner, but they'd rather see a on the corner. They say I'm stealing Nick's clips like I'm stealing Nick's chick, not knowing that I hit him first week for the lick. I said, Nick, I could post here while you post there. Let's run the ads up, then let's meet up over there.